Jones, and thank you for listening to this sample from my translation of the Swiss author Clarisse Francillon and her book Le Carnet à Lucarnes. There's more information about the author and the book below the video. This drawer that refuses to come out from its recess, that squeaks and sticks, slanting to the right, slanting to the left, taking up on one side what it gives on the other, no matter how much you force it, how hard you keep at it, even at the risk of breaking off its asparagus tip of a handle, of destroying the entire secretary desk, the whole house, the street below, the city, of cracking the earth's crust, reducing the planet to rubble, something which would solve a great many problems, by the way. How much longer is this drawer going to hold out? Since the secretary was installed up here on the narrow landing at the top of the spiral staircase, the steam has been softening its layers of glue, tarnishing its decorative flourishes, warping its panels, the shower flecking it each day with 1,000 half-moons. What a shame, sighed Cri-Cri not so long ago, tangled in the knit of his sweater, which hooded him for an instant until he emerged, eyes wide, with those curvy, ravishing lashes and that thick hair of his. It's really too bad. Such a quality piece deserved a great deal of respect. With the tips of his fingers he brushed its leaf-sculpted surfaces and fluted spirals, its edges with their swirls of pistil, anther, and seedling. Shouldn't she, Fabienne Forbe, its lucky owner, have treated it with beeswax, rubbed it with a wool cloth? And anyway, why not start with shutting her bathroom door instead of leaving it open all the time, which is bizarrely the opposite of what she insists upon for the other rooms? And what did this mean exactly? Richard's constant question from several years before. Richard, who was always so keen on symbols, parallels, metaphors, and their possible interpretations. Such a worthy disciple of the leopard, otherwise named Nadine. Nadine, who not only made wax effigies of her enemies, a certain Fabienne Forbe, for example, but actually went ahead and pierced their hearts with a hat-pin. Fabienne wondered how much longer he'd suffer under Nadine's power. When would that woman ever leave him alone? She tried comforting herself with the reminder that Nadine and Richard had broken up for good this time. They'd eventually stop seeing each other entirely. He'd said as much, had said so 100 times. But why didn't she ever take these clues and coincidences seriously enough? Hadn't they, she and Richard, that is, hadn't they met on the 9th of a certain month, when she was still living at number 9, Boulevard Port-Royal? Or what about the 9th of the following month, when he'd given her a copy of La Vita Nuova? Yet by then Fabienne had already dubbed Nadine the leopard, in honor of Dante's sinuous beast. Signs, secret warnings. Just the other day, right here on the Rue des Grands Decrets, when Dennis had been showing off his invitation, an invite he would maybe accept, he would definitely accept, to spend Saturday and Sunday at someone's house in the countryside. And Fabienne, washing a pound of mushrooms at the sink, had she foreseen the accident, the demolished car, and that burn on Dennis's left hand? These someones had an estate in Champagne, at the Brie-Champagne border, somewhere near there, he'd explained, rolling the envelope between his palms, with a waterfall and a pool and doves and goats that come into the kitchen looking for salt, and the house, filled no doubt with hordes of beautiful young creatures, each one more formidable than the almost forgotten, previously torturesome Nadine, mused Fabienne, as she brandished her knife but left the mushrooms untouched. In pretending to curse this happy countryside gathering, had she truly done so? Of course not. Just a coincidence. The porcini caps tilted in the hollow of the bowl, the breeze wafted in from the Boulevard Port-Royal and rustled the pages of La Vita Nuova, jostling in the mirror, with glints of another time, the sight of Fabienne walking around in the nude. Already back then on the Rue de l'Arbalète, the locksmith's widow hinted that certain people, certain neighbors or friends, had been complaining about the young woman to whom she was renting out her extra room, and in particular the young woman's habit of wandering around, quite shamelessly, these people added, without her nightdress. And a person can't really help heeding what others think, can she? Of course, it would be another story entirely if Miss Fabienne didn't actually own a nightdress. But we all know that her aunt, Mrs. Herminy, made dozens of them for her, each one prettier than the first. Seated at her sewing table, the locksmith's widow tried to disentangle a frightening cascade of motley bits, clips, hooks, and little pellets of dust. Would Miss Forbe be kind enough to thread one more needle with that basting thread? The locksmith's widow very much regretted the entire incident, even more so because of her overwhelming respect for Mrs. Herminy, a perfect peach of a concierge, who had never been the type, of course, to shine anyone's doorknob in relation to the size of her Christmas gift. And you can be sure she would have loved to have her for her own building. Well, never mind. The locksmith's widow felt obliged to evict the young lady, along with her Japanese basket, her box filled to bursting with slips and petticoats, and, mind you, plenty of nightshirts.